to sit or not to sit a rookie quarterback. This is an interesting topic in general because, it worked for Joe Montana. It worked for Joe Montana to an extent. So Niner fans are kind of ingrained in that. Also, they remember Alex Smith playing as a rookie and it not going well. They remember Colin Kaepernick sitting for a year and a half and it working well. And famously, recently, Patrick Mahomes sitting for a year. So there is some, I don't know if it's evidence, just some data points that are positive on that side. But is it a requirement to sit a rookie quarterback?
No, absolutely not. I think for whatever reason, there's this taboo that if you start a rookie quarterback, it'll go bad. And people name the examples of guys who started maybe too fast. And if you sit a quarterback, it's good. And they bring up the two classic examples of two of probably the 4 or 5 most gifted quarterbacks in NFL history, and Aaron Rodgers and Patrick Mahomes. The issue I have is that I don't think there's a clear-cut answer here, whether you sit a quarterback and it's successful or you start a quarterback and it's successful. It's really based on the individual, and I don't think sitting or starting dictates their success as much as first their surrounding situations. Like you look at what Patrick Mahomes had when he started. That obviously, to me, has had a bigger impact, having Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, Andy Reid, Mitchell Schwartz, an all-pro right tackle for a couple years and all of that, than, the sitting itself. And then their overall talent. And obviously, we know Patrick Mahomes has an abundance of talents. He might be the most gifted quarterback we've ever seen. To me, those two things have a bigger factor in a guy's success rather than sitting and starting. Like, for whatever reason, we don't give the example of the quarterbacks who failed, right, after getting drafted in the first round and sitting. And I'll eventually create some sort of document where I can kind of see all the quarterbacks out. I know you're against Excel spreadsheets, Grant, and charts, but
they're hard.
I'm playing, but I'll eventually do that and reason out the data. The issue is quarterback success is not a term of measurement. So it'll be very difficult to dictate whether a guy is successful or not, and how successful he is very difficult to measure. But the point is, with Trey Lance, right, you can say that sitting him means success, but sitting a quarterback for the majority of their first year didn't mean success for JP Lossman, didn't mean success for Rex Grossman, certainly didn't mean success for Brady Quinn, didn't mean success for Paxton Lynch, didn't mean success for Jake Locker. Those are 5 names that I tweeted off the top of my head, and I just named off the top of my head, of guys that sat for the majority of their first year, were drafted in the first round, and you saw that they didn't have success. And then when you talk about starting day one, people always bring up the names of the guys who struggle, but what about Andrew Luck? He started from day one. He was fairly successful. RG3 had a good rookie season starting from day one. Starting day one is not what ended RG3's career.
Cam Newton was good.
Russell Wilson was good starting day one. Cam Newton was good starting day one. These are names I just named again off the top of my head, and that's 4 or 5. So the point is that each situation is individualistic. I don't understand when people say sit Lance, all of a sudden they decide he's not ready. The problem is none of us know whether he's ready or not, which is why it's up to Kyle Shanahan to dictate that decision.
The thing with Lance is and with why it's different for every case is because really you're supposed to be playing the quarterback who gives you the best chance to win. Right. And when Aaron Rodgers got drafted by the Packers, they had Brett Favre.
Exactly.
Okay, and when Mahomes got drafted, no, and when the Chiefs got Patrick Mahomes, they had Alex Smith, who's a hell of a quarterback in Kansas City. It's not like what the Niners have. The Niners are displeased with Jimmy Garoppolo. That's why they traded up to number 3 before they even decided who they wanted.
I mean, if you want to go right there, I'll go there, and I'll draw a couple of distinctions between the Mahomes Smith situation compared to the Garoppolo Lance situation. First off, the Kansas City Chiefs did not flirt with every available quarterback before getting rid of Alex Smith. They were contented with Alex Smith as their starter. Andy Reid loved Alex Smith. When Alex Smith left the Chiefs, he talked about how Andy Reid felt that Alex Smith's career could have been so different if Andy Reid had him from day one, instead of him having to go through possibly the worst treatment in the last 25 years of a franchise number 1 overall pick quarterback. I mean, the Niners were awful to Alex Smith. So that's one, right? That's really important as a distinction. 2, here's the biggest difference to me. The Kansas City Chiefs fell in love with Patrick Mahomes throughout the draft process and traded up to get Patrick Mahomes specifically.
Yes.
If I mean, obviously this is just speculation, but I tend to believe that if Patrick Mahomes wasn't in that draft, they wouldn't have traded up to go get Mitchell Trubisky or Deshaun Watson. They didn't go up to trade up to get a quarterback. The Niners wanted to get a quarterback no matter what. Hence why they traded a month before the draft to go get a quarterback. The Chiefs traded up for Patrick Mahomes and specifically. Though that's a very important distinction because if you're trading up to get a quarterback in general, which is what the Niners did, it tells you a little more about how you felt about your incumbent starter compared to if you're trading up for a specific player the way the Chiefs did, because they just thought they had something special they couldn't pass up with Patrick Mahomes. It wasn't
Also,
that they...
He was transitioning from an air raid offense to a West Coast offense type of system. I think they felt that he didn't necessarily give them their best chance to win his rookie year. Maybe they were wrong, but if they felt that Patrick Mahomes had given him their best chance to win over a very good veteran Alex Smith, I think they would have pulled the trigger earlier. The idea here that the Niners would determine that Trey Lance gives them a better chance to win, but sit him anyway, I think is nonsensical.
Yes,
if they really feel Jimmy gives them a better chance to win, fine. But this whole thing of like sitting him for the sake of sitting him, even if he technically gives you a better chance to win, no, I'm not behind that.
I'm 100% with you, which is why I keep going back to the fact of, and I don't think Kyle Shanahan is. When Trey Lance was drafted, Kyle Shanahan said it's going to be difficult for a rookie to beat out Jimmy. But he also said he's not opposed to starting a rookie if the rookie proves himself ready. And what he defined as readiness, I feel like I say this in every show. He said everybody will know it and see it. Well, we don't know if everybody's knowing and seeing it.
If he's the best quarterback on the team, that's ready.
If he's the best quarterback on the team, he is going to start because they traded up. There's nothing guaranteed where because they have Jimmy Garoppolo and because, see, those are the reasons that really tick me off. People say either Trey Lance should sit because Patrick Mahomes sat. Because Patrick Mahomes sat, that's why you sit a quarterback. I mean, Russell Wilson started, so is that why you start a quarterback? No.
Well, as if like if he plays this year, he'll only be like an 8 out of 10 in 10 years. But if he sits a year, he'll become Patrick Mahomes.
Right. If every quarterback sits a year, they will
like he's a bottle of wine. They will have if you open him up too early, he just won't be. He'll be ruined forever.
Hey, if you sit 1 year, you will have arguably the greatest 4-year stretch to start a career of anybody, because that's what Patrick Mahomes arguably has had, right?
Yeah.
And then the other situation, right, is that, just because they have Jimmy, who's making $26 million, who started for them, there's no reason to rush Trey Lance and start. Yeah, there's a reason to rush him and start, because you traded up 3 first-round picks to go get a guy at pick 3 for a reason. That reason was for him to be your starting quarterback, not for him to be a starting quarterback 2 years from now. Because if you wanted a starting quarterback from 2 years from now, you have no clue if the guy can be a starting quarterback 2 years from now. I mean, why did people criticize the Jordan Love pick, right? One, it was because they didn't get Aaron Rodgers enough help. And 2, it's because they traded up to get a quarterback who had the idea of starting 2 years from now for them. And you don't know if a quarterback can start 2 years from now. The Niners didn't trade up for Trey Lance to be the starter 3 years from now or 2 years from now. They traded up for him to be the starter as soon as possible. They just have the leverage and the opportunity where they don't have to rush him to be the starter.
True.
But if he's ready to be the starter, there's no doubt that he will be the starter. Kyle Shanahan has been consistent with this, and I think that it's consistent with anybody who trades up that much to go get a quarterback. It's just logical.
True. And look, the Niners are playing this right. They didn't know what Trey Lance was going to do. If Trey Lance had come into camp and bombed, then good thing. I mean, that you kept Jimmy Garoppolo. They didn't know what he was going to do. They've talked that he's made all these strides in the 40 days between OTAs and training camp. Well, the fact of the matter is he hasn't bombed. They haven't given him an opportunity to play with the first stringers yet. True. But with what they've given him, he's doing really well.
Right.
69% completions, 3.5 to 1 TD to INT ratio. He's exceeding expectations. So the only way I could fathom sitting him is if he was struggling or Jimmy Garoppolo had taken off into like a Matt Ryan different stratosphere.
Mm-hmm.
That's not happening. Lance is playing well, given what they've allowed him to do. Just seems like that's your first round pick. That's your future. I'm starting to lose the reason of what the benefit is for him specifically. Of course, he needs to go play well in preseason too. But if he keeps knocking off all the hurdles, I just don't see like this intrinsic benefit to sitting. Like marinating, like basic.
Right.
You know
for example, let me give you an example of sitting. I remember when Colin Kaepernick was drafted, every practice the guy would fumble the snap under center. People would
Yes.
be like, he's struggling to take snaps under center.
True.
That's a reason to sit a quarterback, right?
Yes.
He's not
'Cause
comfortable
he had never done
taking
it
snaps
before.
under
He
center,
had
and you have an
never done
under
it
center
before.
offense,
Yes.
right? If Trey Lance was struggling, like Jimmy Garoppolo, Albert Breer wrote about this, and Jimmy Garoppolo talked about it. You poked fun at him when he wrote see the safeties, and he used the possessive safeties instead of the plural safeties on his armband. But one of the things Garoppolo struggled with is the ability to the footwork and timing and the ability to see safety rotations after turning your back in play action and being able to re-see where the safeties have rotated and then decide where to go with the football based on that. Guess what Trey Lance did in college, Grant? He operated an under center play action offense, and he's used to turning his back to the defense and doing that. That's why he has had success, at least according to you and the other media members, doing that against the practice, albeit against the second team, right? The other thing about Trey Lance, right, is that he has operated an RPO heavy system. NDSU ran a lot of RPOs. The 49ers run an RPO heavy system specifically for Jimmy Garoppolo. So he's done that. And then you add the fact that he's already done a lot of these elements in the quarterback run game. Look, I don't want to sit here and say he's ready or he isn't ready because I have not attended practice. You have attended practice, right? You know these
all we're saying is if he continues on this trajectory, there's absolutely no reason to sit him. He needs to continue to prove it, but so far, so good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like Jimmy Garoppolo being on this roster is not the reason to sit a quarterback. That's all I have to say. Especially
only reason to sit Trey is if he looks real bad in the preseason.
Yeah.
Which he could.
Yeah, but even if he does look real bad in the preseason, Kyle Shanahan has been adamant that the preseason doesn't mean as much as fans put stock into it. He says practice is everything for him.
We got to go on to the next topic, but you know what's going to be really telling? Joint practices with the Chargers. I'll be there. And we will 2 days. It's going to be very interesting to see Trey Lance against a different defense that he hasn't faced. It'll be fascinating. So
a good defense too.
Absolutely.
A schematically very, very good defense with Brandon Staley.
And same with Jimmy. It'll be interesting for both of them. And I really have no idea what to expect. Or we have a bunch.
And you'll get to see Joey Bosa live.
Yes.